Coming up on CTV News tonight, an army robot goes into the Cathedral Basilica to get a better view of the quake damage, and more pressure on the council to make an announcement on the future of AMI Stadium. Welcome to CTV News, I'm Rob Cope-Williams. Pressure is mounting on the council to make an announcement of some indication of the future of AMI Stadium. An announcement was due to be made yesterday but was put off again by the council.
Okay, so the council obviously knows the state of the stadium. What's to be gained by just sitting on that information?
The councillors haven't seen any of the engineering reports yet. It's been to the VBase board, but it hasn't been to the council yet. And the council took over on the 1st of July. Remember, VBase had set down a press conference for the 6th. I'm not quite sure why they decided to do that. But once the council has actually seen the engineering reports and has got a peer review of them, and we've had a talk about future options for funding and the way in which the stadium is repaired, then more than happy to have that conversation.
So where are the engineer reports? When are the council likely to see them?
We'll be having a workshop with the councillors within the next month, and at that time we'll have the engineers' reports, the peer review. I'm very keen to see that, and then we'll be able to have a conversation about different options we have going forward, because I think the real question that people want to have an answer to, and the one we cannot give them today, is when are we going to get back into AMI Stadium? When are we going to see rugby there today? And the fact of the matter is I can't answer that today. Nobody on the council can, because there's a whole lot of options we have to work through. And you understand what it's like at the moment too. There's insurance. It doesn't take a genius to figure out we've got a whole lot of parties at AMI that we need to keep on the same page. So it's not a simple conversation.
So what are the options?
The options relate to the way in which the repairs are done, the timing of the repairs, and just how fast we can get rugby back happening in our ground again, because that's really what we all want to do.
So do you think the ratepayers have the right to know yes or no?
There is absolutely no suggestion that the stadium will be anything other than rebuilt. There is no suggestion of abandoned ship, we're all leaving home here. That is not on the table at the moment.
An army robot was deployed today to look inside the Cathedral Basilica on Barbados Street to take a better look at earthquake damage inside the building.
Work has been underway on the badly damaged Catholic Cathedral on Barbados Street since the February quake. Work on removing the top of the main dome of the cathedral is continuing, and the cross that's set on top of the dome and the copper cladding have all been removed, and now work is continuing on removing the wooden shell of the dome. The dome has been divided into 4 sections, and it's hoped that all 4 sections will be removed by the end of the week. While work is continuing on the outside of the cathedral, this morning an army robot was deployed to look inside to provide better resolution video of earthquake damage.
The robot itself is what we call the iRobot, the PACbot, and it is primarily designed to assist in combat operations in regards to searching buildings for booby traps, and provides explosive devices and other such hazards.
While the robot will be going where people cannot, it is different to that used inside the Pike River mine.
Very different to the one in Park River. That was a bomb disposal robot, which is much larger and a very different role.
Engineers are now viewing the damage.
The robot is in there at the moment, and with the engineers viewing what's coming back, and pretty much just looking at the damage, the cracks within the building, and seeing what's structural and what's not. And they're the experts in viewing that. We're just providing the means for them to gather that information.
Firefighters are battling a blaze on Banks Peninsula. The fire is burning across 400 hectares of bush at Stony Bay in the hills above Akaroa. Overnight winds pushed the blaze over to the Akaroa side of Stony Bay Peak. It's currently around 5 k's away from Akaroa itself. The Christchurch City Council and local volunteer fire crews are actively fighting the fire. The council requests that residents do not use Long Bay Road to keep it clear for emergency vehicles. The fire started at around 1 p.m. yesterday. Investigations into the cause are ongoing. However, it's likely that it was started by a lightning strike. 4 houses were evacuated around dusk last night because of concerns that wind could push the fire towards them. Aerial assessments were made late yesterday and early this morning, and there are now 60 staff, 6 helicopters and 5 tankers on site to help battle the blaze. Principal Rural Fire Officer Keith Marshall says access to the site is limited and firefighting is continuing with helicopters today. He says this is a significant fire on the peninsula and we have called on a large team to respond. Coming up after the break, a generous donation to Christchurch Girls High School. Welcome back. When the February the 22nd earthquake struck, Christchurch Girls High School was hosting students on an exchange from its partner school in eastern France. Today, the school received a cheque for nearly $50,000 from that school in France.
When the February quake hit, Christchurch Girls High School was hosting students on an exchange from its partner school, a high school in Strasbourg, eastern France. The French pupils returned home to France soon after the quake, but the school, parents and students began fundraising. They've now raised €27,000, which equates to 47,000 New Zealand dollars, which was presented to Christchurch Girls High School in an assembly this morning.
It's come about because our school travels to France every 2 years, and part of the itinerary is Strasbourg and the school from which this cheque has come. And then this year, students from the school came to New Zealand, arriving here on Monday the 21st of February, all set for a wonderful 3-week visit, specifically focusing on Christchurch and Christchurch girls. But as we know, that didn't happen. Yeah.
The students used various fundraising techniques, which included their parents and other members of the community.
Well, they told us in an email they were going to have cake stalls, and I think their cake stalls might be a little bit different from ours if that's the result, $47,000.
The cheque was officially presented to the school by the French ambassador to New Zealand, Francis Etienne. Mr. Etienne says the donation reiterates not only the relationship between the two schools, but also New Zealand's close relationship with France.
It means just what we knew already, that we have a very close relationship, that we are true friends, and if we needed another demonstration or another sign, this is just a great one. I know for the huge catastrophe which has been seen and felt here, it's probably just a drop in the ocean. But for us, and I suppose for the school community, it is a gesture of importance, and we want it just to be a sign of our interest and long-standing interest for the school community here, for Girls High, and beyond that, for continuing exchanges and continuing contacts.
Shipping containers have become part of the landscape in Sumner. They're used to protect residents from cliff faces, which have already collapsed in previous earthquakes. Now a group of locals wants to turn what they call an eyesore into an attraction.
They call it Container Alley. Sumner residents once cherished this drive into their seaside suburb. Now it seems they can't get through quick enough. Shipping containers play a vital role in protecting people and roads from cliff collapses caused by earthquakes, but they're an icon of insecurity for many locals. Now a group has come together to try and make them more appealing.
So we used to get to the causeway and you'd sort of go, yay, I'm at home, sort of time for a holiday at the beach, but now you get to the causeway and it go bump, bump, bump through the rubble and look at the cliffs and you sort of think what rock might fall next, and you come around the corner and then there's this whole lineup of containers, and it's just such a different feeling. So I just think we could turn it into quite an amazing environmental piece of art. Just lots of ideas to turn it into something quite positive. So I think we're all walking around sort of going, holding our breath really, and it'd be nice to breathe out and do something exciting for the community.
Graphic designer Dinesh Patel had the idea to put images on the containers. He says his children were his inspiration.
My children have walked freely without any hesitation round these roads, and suddenly you get these containers here that are so intimidating that immediately I thought I'd turn it around and make it something appealing that will bring smiles to their faces and possibly make people realise that we've still got a community here, and for them not to see such destruction.
The idea has made rapid progress, with Dinesh using his skills to illustrate his vision. Possible pictures include a timeline of Sumner history, works from famous artists, community photos and nature scenes with logos from local businesses.
You know, we're getting a big following and everyone's putting in their idea, and you know, I take everyone's idea seriously. So maybe in the end everyone will have their bit shown, which is what I'd like to happen.
About 5 volunteers are working hard at the moment to seek permissions, find sponsorship and ways it could generate revenue for community efforts. They want to get prototypes up quickly to turn their dream into reality.
It could be amazing if it took off. There's a lot of work to make it happen, but yeah, imagine coming around the corner and seeing this sort of world-class art panning down the road. It'd be cool.
Welcome back. Today we asked people if they think Prince William and his wife Kate should be permitted to come to the Rugby World Cup, even though there's an upcoming election.
What's your thoughts? That's what we want to know today with the Street Talk. I'm a bit upset, really. Apparently in legislation we cannot have royal visitors here when it's election year. Now I think that's a shame. I'd personally welcome Prince William and Kate to come out to the Rugby World Cup. He loves his rugby. He was here in 2005 to follow the Lions. Wouldn't it be a boost for us to have the Royals, the young Royals, out here for the World Cup? But I know, apparently the legislation says Royals can't visit in election year. It certainly wouldn't influence my vote. Would it influence yours? That's what we want to know today. Do you reckon that Prince William and his wife should be able to come out here for the Rugby World Cup?
Yes, I do. I think it'd be great.
Now, by law, they can't come because it's going to clash with the election later on?
I don't know anything about that.
No, I think they should come. We'd like to see them.
Wouldn't worry me. I mean, they can come any time they like. Best times to come when it's cooler.
I think it stinks. What's it going to do with the election anyway?
I think it's ridiculous, frankly.
I think it's a bit sad because Kate Middleton and obviously Prince William are big figures of the world today. You know, you look on the news, Entertainment Tonight, they're on the news there, they're everywhere. And I just think it'll bring New Zealand, after what's happened with the earthquake, some good publicity to the rest of the world to know what's going on here.
I just think it's a wee bit crazy. Anything to give everyone a lift has got to be good and exciting. They're a lovely couple and in love.
I think it's a shame. So they're pretty popular in my family and it's a disappointment. So
Stupid, absolutely stupid.
I reckon that's really stupid, isn't it? That's mad. Kate Middleton, she'll bring everything here to New Zealand. She's lovely. She's good as Lady Di.
Ridiculous. Absolutely stupid. They should be allowed to come to New Zealand.
I think it's nuts. It would be great for them to come out. Yeah, I think they should.
Well, I'm not sure. It doesn't worry me one way or the other.
I think it's crazy. They should be allowed to come whenever they like and be good for New Zealand, good for tourism, good for Postie Plus. They can come in and buy something off us.
What? I think people will be pleased to see them, brighten the place up.
I can't believe it. I mean, it has nothing to do with anything, whether there are elections or not. John Key certainly doesn't need any royalties at the moment. He's well ahead by himself, so I don't think it matters or not whether they come or whether they don't come, and a lot of people probably want to see them.
I mean, more opportunity we have for Prince Williams to visit beautiful New Zealand. I think that would be, I think it's a great cause.
The more chances we can get her here as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, she's attractive, isn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
But it wouldn't influence your vote, would it?
I don't see how that could influence.
No.
I think this is really, I mean, Prince Williams doesn't really represent much of the politics, if you will. I think it's more about the being a prince of the people.
Yeah.
And princess, of course, as well. So I don't see at all that be, I mean, unless somehow there's a link between who's sponsoring bringing Prince Williams here, and that could also.
But you'd welcome them, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, I would love to see.
Good man. Would it change your vote if they came here?
No,
Would it change the way you voted, would it?
No, probably not.
It'd be just lovely to see the young couple here, wouldn't it?
We're gorgeous because they're beautiful.
And he loves his footy.
He does.
EQC says the majority of contractors are being honest with regard to the invoices, but some are under investigation.
We're almost up to date with the invoices that we're satisfied with. I think there's about 6 contractors that we have serious concerns over their invoicing. One has $210,000 worth of invoices with us, the other has $230,000, and we're getting charged for things like $175 for dump fees for a wheelbarrow load of rubble, $200 worth of materials charged out at over $700, and 32k's worth of mileage charged at $172. So those are the sort of things we're having issues with, and like any business, we just want to make sure what we're paying for is what we should be paying for.
Okay, so you're going through every single contractor's invoice bit by bit to see exactly what they are charging?
Look, we've had 28,000 emergency works invoices, so we have to look at them. We're not going through everyone with a fine-tooth comb, but where there's some alarm bells for us, we have a look here.
But, I mean, in the majority of the cases, they must be, legitimate.
Absolutely. We're only
invoices.
talking about a very small percentage of the contractors that have done emergency works for people across Canterbury.
Okay.
In the main, the contractors do a fantastic job.
And you've been speaking with these contractors, the EQC has been speaking with them, and they all know they're up to date with that?
Yes, they do. Our office is engaged with them, and most of the invoices are paid out of Wellington, but our office is engaging with the local contractors to try and help them through that.
Okay, so what's the feedback been from people out there in Christchurch with the EQC and the contractors?
Look, we think in the main pretty positive. I know that there's some contractors that it's taken time to get money to, but that's just sheer weight of numbers in reality. As I said, we're almost up to date with those. Certainly 20th of the month following, people can expect to be paid. But on an inspection level, our guys are fronting up every day to hundreds of houses across Christchurch, and the feedback is that people are really pleased to see us.
Okay. All right, the red zone, a call for those claimants who haven't been seen by the EQC? Yeah,
our numbers tell us that we're through there, but we do have problems time to time with addresses. Someone will lodge their address as 1A when it's listed as 1-1. So that causes problems. But if people are in the red zone, they've checked their property with Land Check and they haven't seen us, please ring 0800 damage and we will see them immediately.
Okay, and the latest stats, what's going on there?
Yeah, over 30,000 full inspections done following the rapid inspection. Fletchers are really trucking along with home heat, over 8,000 installations, another 13,000 units on order. So yeah, we're going really well. There's still emergency works being done as a result of June's event. And again, if you've got an issue with emergency works or heat, please ring us 0800 damage.
On Headliner's weekly business report this week, Christchurch company New Zealand Wool Services International are attracting attention from possible buyouts. Christchurch company Wool Services International, a lot of interest in them?
Yes, back in the news again, Rob. A few weeks ago, Cavalier Corporation, one of the big companies on the stock market, decided it wanted to buy into Wool Services International, based in Christchurch, looking to rationalise the wool scouring sector in the country. That led to a lot of controversy about whether or not this was a good thing. And in the meantime, the Commerce Commission went along and gave the Cavalier bid a big tick. However, that wasn't the end of the matter. What that led to was an appeal to the High Court to see if that determination by the Commerce Commission could be overturned. It's sitting with the High Court right now. It goes to hearing in August. And in the meantime, right out of the blue, a Wellington-based company, smaller again than Wool Services, has decided to put its hand up in the air and say, we'd like to buy into Wool Services International as well. That company is called Wool Equities. So we have a nice trio of a big company wanting to buy a middle-sized company and a little fellow down the end who thinks he might get into the action. So we're going to watch that pretty closely in Headliner.
Quite a bit of interest in coal mines?
Oh, indeed, with the Pike River inquiry underway in Greymouth, possibly not the best timing for the background that occurred internationally, where one of the big companies in Australia, MacArthur Coal, has copped a massive $5 billion takeover bid from international interests, one of those based in India. If Pike had been producing right now, it would have been shipping its coal out of Lyttelton across to India and through to China. And the Chinese are now taking about 90,000 tonnes of coal, high quality coal a year, expected by some people to go to almost 200 million tonnes of coal imports by 2015. Now the coal price at the moment has been going up astronomically. It went up last year so fast nobody thought it could continue in the same vein, but it still continues to go up. And hard coking coal, the sort of coal that Pike was prepared to ship, is now selling at about US $277 a tonne, which is extremely remarkable. So it's a sad day indeed to see that Pike River is not participating in that, but it shows what potential there was in that mine.
Which leads me on to China.
Yeah, well, another big New Zealand company, Raycon, is the manufacturer of what's called an oscillator. It's a crystal oscillator. They have one plant in China, which is doing very well, and they've just opened another new one this week in Chengdu, which will step up the manufacture of these oscillators. What do they do? Well, I guess the best way to describe them, if you're out on your boat and you want to send a distress signal up, it's the little oscillator that'll help you get rescued. If you're operating a GPS system on a boat or in your car, it's Raycon that makes that little chip, that little oscillator that sits in there that positions you correctly. And then there's the big cell phone market beyond that. So they're quite a success story.
And I'm sure you've got a high flyer for us.
Well, yeah, actually there is. A little company called Diligent Board Services, which is not really seen as a big entity yet, but it's doing extremely well with a Christchurch base, but has all its sales focused in the United States in particular. It markets a computerised version of getting all your board papers. So you look at it on screen, and there are a few people doing this, but this one is listed on the stock exchange. And it's a winning formula for sales, and their sales in the second quarter, just out this week, have gone up over 300%. They now service about 1,000 boards around the world. They report that in this current quarter they took on another 30 New York Stock Exchange clients and another 19 NASDAQ clients. So they're going very well, and we'll be looking at them in Headliner's issue next week. And the story is this week, it's on our website, www.headliner.co.nz, so people can go to that site, headliner.co.nz, and it's all there to read.
And that's CTV News. I'm Rob Cope-Williams.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.